Good morning, everybody. Before we move swiftly on to the next part of the press reports on Ken Kratz's sexting scandal, I was asked about a award that Ken Kratz was given. I don't believe he was given an award. I believe that the two individuals that got awards were Wiegert and Fassbender, and the awards they received were the Meritorious Service Awards. That was in 2008, and they are, quote, given to a group of members or a team of investigators from a department or assisting departments who demonstrate the highest degree of professionalism in their respective positions during an investigation. I would imagine that those awards, in whatever form they are looking rather tarnished now. Hey, Mark and Tom. No, Ken Kratz, I suspect his award was the fact that the Department of Justice decided not to leak details of the Stephanie Van Grol case for a year. They decided to keep it quiet, and that was a direct result of the fact that Ken Kratz was still involved in Stephen Avery's and Brendan Dass's appeals, and we've got emails to and from Ken Kratz and Tom Fallon, where Tom Fallon is saying, "Hey Ken, have you got such and such sorted out, ready for these various appeals?" Remember, we see in Making a Murderer number 2, Ken Kratz being called as a witness by Steve Drizzen and Laura Nyrider. So he was still, he was very, very involved in the Stephen Avery case, and of course that was one of the very early threats that he made to the DOJ, that if they want him to stand down as the chairman of the Crime Victims' Right Board and notify the Wisconsin District Attorneys Association, he assumes that they want him to have nothing at all to do with the Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey appeals, and that they'll need to finance somebody else to come in. Not that they'll have the expertise that he would have. But of course, something else that did happen in 2008 with Ken Kratz was that he decided to run for Congress. So I just want to quickly read something that I managed to find out. And it's where we've got some direct quotes from Kenneth R. Kratz. In this article, it says, "It appears that for the first time in years, I believe about 30 years, the 6th District Congressman, Tom Petrie from Reno, will have a challenger. Ken Kratz, best known for getting 2 convictions in the Holbach homicide case, announced his intention to run. Kratz said he was approached by various business and political figures since the beginning of the year. As individuals approached me, he said, I felt I owed it to myself to at least take a look at it. And that's what I intend to do in the next couple of months," he said late Monday. I'm not sure of the date of this. He carries on, "I've honestly never thought of myself as representing the people of this district. I'm a prosecutor, not a politician." He said he hadn't thought of the possibility until a couple of months ago. "Whatever happens with this exploratory campaign, I will continue to focus on what is important to the people I represent. Honesty, respect, and sensitivity." Ken, he's like a stand-up comic, isn't he? Let's just read that again. "Honesty, respect, and sensitivity. That's what people expect from me. And whatever position I hold, that's what they will get." Whatever position, I don't know. One of Kratz's supporters, Brad W. Grant of Brillion, who is president and CEO of the Calumet County Bank and treasurer and financial director for the campaign committee, said Kratz offers a unique opportunity for voters. You couldn't make this stuff up, could you? I wonder what Brad Grant is thinking now. Oh dear. He put, Ken's ability to rally support, both financial and political, will become obvious very early in his campaign. Oh dear. It says here the 6th district covers 10 counties from the south side of Appleton to Watertown and from Lake Michigan to Adams County. They carry on. Kratz has chaired the State Crime Victims' Rights Board since it was started in 1998 and chaired its predecessor, the Victims' Right Council, since 1993. Not surprisingly, the national GOP doesn't get it and is planning to back Petrie. And presumably Petrie must have won because we hear no more of Ken Kratz's running for Congress. Anyway, let's move on to what we're supposed to be looking at. We can probably only get through a few of them, but never mind. Let's go through then. This is Wednesday, September the 22nd, 2010, in the middle of the afternoon. Governor Jim Doyle says he has received the complaint needed to begin the process to remove a prosecutor accused of abusing his power to seek relationships with women. Doyle appointed former Kenosha County District Attorney Bob Jambois to oversee the removal proceedings against Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz. He said Kratz is being notified of the charges against him, and a public hearing where Kratz could defend himself would be scheduled soon. After the hearing, Jambois would make a report to the governor, who would make a final decision on removal. The governor must find cause to remove Kratz, which is defined as inefficiency, neglect of duty, official misconduct, or malfeasance in office. In the evening, 10 to 7, on the same Wednesday, an update from the governor's office. Attorney Robert J. Jambois has scheduled a status scheduling conference for Monday, September the 27th. So that's 5 days later on at 11 o'clock. The conference will take place in room 115, courtroom 2, Calumet County Courthouse, 206 Court Street, Chilton, Wisconsin, and is open to the public. Governor Jim Doyle has appointed Jambois, the former Kenosha County District Attorney, to serve as Commissioner of the removal proceedings against Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz. Note, the status stroke scheduled conference is not the hearing on the removal charges. That will come later. Details on the time and location of the hearing of the removal charges will be forthcoming. Wednesday, September 22nd, 9:40 in the morning. Sorry, 9:40 in the evening. This is the same day? Yes. 9:40 in the evening of Wednesday. It specifies a reporter, a Chris Woodard. He wrote, tonight an official complaint is the first step in the removal process against the Calumet County DA accused of sending sexually suggestive text messages to a domestic abuse victim. It says here, the murder of a Madison woman may ultimately be responsible for pushing DA Ken Kratz out of office. In December, Tracy Judd and her daughter were killed by her boyfriend. Tonight, her sister and friend, who filed the complaint, says victims of domestic violence like Judd shouldn't have to go to someone like Kratz for help. Heather Severson says she was wonderful, a great mother, great friend, great laugh, and she will be missed. Severson fights back tears remembering her lifelong friend, Tracy Judd. In December, Judd and her daughter, Deja Rayner, were found dead in the trunk of a car in Middleton, killed by Judd's boyfriend. It was an act of domestic violence that, while not related, is now pushing Severson to file the first official complaint against Calumet County DA Ken Kratz. She says it's a little hard to take that he would use someone's misfortune for his own personal gain. Being in the position that he's in, it's very disturbing, and something needs to be done. Kratz has admitted to sending sexually suggestive text messages to a domestic abuse victim, whom he was supposed to be helping. Severson filed today's complaint because she says it's the kind of behaviour that prevents victims like Judd from coming forward. Judd's sister, Lisa Blanchard, says victims have a hard enough time coming forward already. She says, who are they going to trust? Victims need to know there are people out there. They aren't all like Mr. Kratz. Since the murder, Blanchard has been on a crusade to help domestic violence victims, including speaking with district attorneys, and says if it takes her sister's memory to help get Kratz out of office, it's worth it. She says it's not necessarily to keep their memory alive because we don't want it attached to something like this, but it's to speak out to victims who are afraid or who can't because they know they're no longer here. A sister and friend taken the alleged behaviour of Kratz personally. Since the murder of Judd, her sister has been working to make it easier for victims of domestic violence to come forward. She says if Kratz isn't removed from office, it will be like taking 10 steps backwards. So clearly the message there is people like Ken Kratz make it difficult for people to come forward when they've suffered domestic violence. What she's really trying to say is that, you know, these two women might still be alive had they come forward with details of this abusive boyfriend. And of course, what discourages people coming forward and talking about this thing? Actions like Ken Kratz's. Okay, let's move on one more. Thursday, September 23rd. The attorney for a domestic abuse victim who received sexually harassing text messages from a prosecutor says she's willing to testify at his removal hearing. So, Michael Fox, the attorney for Stephanie Van Grohl, says his client has also promised to cooperate if legal regulators reopen their ethics investigation into Ken Kratz. Governor Jim Doyle has started the process to remove the Calumet County District Attorney over alleged misconduct toward at least 3 women. Kratz has acknowledged sending Van Grohl 30 text messages while he was prosecuting her ex-boyfriend on a strangulation charge, trying to start an affair and calling her a hot nymph. The Office of Lawyer Regulation is under pressure to re-examine the case after finding in March the messages were not professional misconduct. Well, as I say, later on we do have I will go through the oaths that the lawyers have to take. Okay, one more. Thursday, September 23rd, 11:30 in the morning. 2 victims advocacy groups are calling on regulators to explain why they failed to discipline a prosecutor caught sending racy text messages to an abuse victim, the Wisconsin Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and the Wisconsin Coalition Against Sexual Assault made the request Thursday in a letter to the Office of Lawyer Regulation. OLR has been silent for days on its handling of an investigation into Calumet County District Attorney Ken Kratz. In December, Kratz gave the office text messages he sent a woman while prosecuting her ex-boyfriend, in which he tried to start an affair and called her a hot nymph. An investigator closed the case without a formal review in March, saying the behaviour was inappropriate but didn't appear to be an ethics violation. As I was saying, the fact that in one part of the DOJ you've got Kevin Potter and Van Hollen who are looking at this very seriously and wanting to really bust Ken Kratz over this. You've got the other side of the office, of course, that Ken Kratz has cried to Tom Fallon, and not only cried to them but also threatened both sides about the fact that he needs to be still involved in the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey cases as they progress through the appeals courts. I'm pretty sure that was one of the trade-offs. The other fact is, of course, that they really do like to avoid any embarrassment whatsoever. They'll do anything to try and avoid that kind of embarrassment. That's all I've really got time for today. It was great having a chat with Linda yesterday, and Mark and Derek the day before, and hopefully over the weekend I want to catch up with a few other people. So yeah, stay tuned, and so we've got loads more of these press reports to go through, which are incredibly very, very interesting. I say it's simply the fall of Ken Kratz, who thought he had it made in 2008, and everything is falling and collapsing about his ears. Anyway, bye for now. Catch you soon.